Hey everyone, this is Prince from DC Programmer. Welcome back to yet another exciting video where we're going to continue building our social media applications using Flutter with features such as creating an account, following a friend, using a timeline, adding your post, video calls, audio calls, chat and live streaming. All this is going to be possible because of Zego Cloud, which is a platform that gives us SDKs and APIs for building our application with voice call, video calls, live streaming and so much more in a very easier way. The reason why I love this product is because while it gives you a lot of options to build video call application, voice call application, live streaming, there is AI effect, virtual avatar, in-app chat, cloud recording and an analytics dashboard, which is going to be very useful when you are building an application for telecommunication, medical or education. What's most interesting here is that you also get UI kits using which you can build your application with a very beautiful UI in no time. All that will be powered by Zego Cloud and their high performing solutions with no lag in video call, voice call or live streaming whatsoever. Now let's move forward, and we have already done some things like a user can log in now, sign up and basically log out, and we have this homepage. So we also have added a search here where you can search for a user and then basically follow them if the user exists. It's not fancy, I know, you can obviously customize it as much as you want, but this is what I have right now. Anyway, I'll go head over to my main.dot and I don't want this debug so checkmark banner. I'll set this to false. So now this is my application. You can sign out and whatnot. But what I want is an option to give user an option to post, and I also want to render timeline. So we have two main things that we want to do here in this video. So I want to talk about that. First one is creating posts and second one is rendering timeline. Now I'm going to give you just a basic idea of how you can do something like this in any of your application. Although honestly, if you are taking a look at Facebook, Instagram or Twitter, then those are far more complicated than anything that you are thinking right now, probably on your own. But basically this is something that you can do, and you can just do it on a large scale and this will work. So first let's talk about creating post, and what I always get asked is that how do I create or render different type of post, right? Like sometimes people may only add text, or sometimes they may add an image, or what if I have to add a video or a link? That's simple. You just have to add a type parameter to your post and then render it accordingly. That's pretty much it, right? There's nothing more than that. So let's do that. We go to our home page, right? This is what you get. So you have this home page, we have actions, we have drawer, and again I'm not focusing much on how the code is organized right now, just trying to get the job done. So in my body I'm going to have a list view, okay, or a column. I don't even need a list view right now. Let's simply go with a column where we're going to have children. Now my first children or my first child is going to be a container where user will have an option to post. So let's say that you can post a text or you can post an image. So I'm going to do something like you have a container. All right, the container has a row, a column in its own child. The column has two things. First, you see a text form field, right? Let's see if it's visible, right? It's visible. And the next thing that you have is basically buttons, couple of buttons. In a row we have two buttons. So children, first one's going to be an elevated button, or rather the last one's going to be an elevated button with a child that says post. So we have this something called as post. All right, let's save it. Now you have this post button. I will give my container a little bit of padding. So let's say edge insects, but you see this will be an internal padding, right? We have edge insects dot all 12.0 and this is internal padding, right? I also want to give some padding from outside, so I will just wrap my entire column with the padding because I need it everywhere. So I'll save this, and now this is the padding that we get. In my text form field, I want to grab the text from here, right? So we'll have a decoration, input decoration, come on, input decoration, and I just need a label text here that says caption your post, or even better, post something. All right, let's save it. So now you see your user can post something, and then we have a simple button that says post. Let's give some decoration here. So we give a box decoration, border which will be border dot all with color of colors dot gray and width of let's say 1.0. So yep, let's save it, and this is how it looks. Not very fancy, but kind of gets the job done, right? A little size box here with a height of like let's say 4.0. All right, but here comes the main point, that when you type something and you click on post, it should get posted, right? So to do that, now it's all about how do you organize that. Okay, so let's head back to readme. Now you have users, right? You have a users collection which has all the users. So let's say you have u1 and then you have u2. Now you may think that it's obviously better to just store all the post of user 1 here and all the post of user 2 here, which is okay if it was a private application, but you know, it's kind of like a social media application, so you want all the posts to be public by default until unless someone says that they do want to make it private. But even if they want to make it private, they can again change back to public. So in simple terms, you don't want this to be accessible. You just want this to be accessible easily. You don't want it to be inside every user's collection so that you have to go and read the data from there. So we'll have another collection called post where all these posts will be stored, right? So let's go back to home.dart. Again, I'm not doing anything fancy here. I'm just going to do something like async, right? And then I will have data. Now to grab the data, I need a text editing controller. So you have text editing controller. Let's say post text, which is going to be a text editing controller. Come on. All right. And this control will be used here. I don't need this. Then somewhere right here is my text form field. So our controller will be post text, and here we can grab the data from the controller. What's important is this data that I'm going to add to each post, right? So there are a few fields here. My first field is the time of the post. So that's just going to be new, not even new. It's just going to be date time dot now. Okay. Then we have a type, like what are the type of the post? I'm simply saying that this is text. There is nothing more here. Then you are going to have UID. Okay. And here we are also going to have something called as content. So now my content is simply going to come from this post text dot text. Okay. And the UID should be coming from Firebase auth dot instance dot current user dot UID. And it's not a good practice, but I'm saying that yeah, I know user is logged in, only then they are going to see this screen. So this is the data that I have as of now, right? Now obviously you can append it, right? You can have views that says how many people viewed it. You can have, you know, all sort of different type of interaction and different type of analytics events, not something that we're interested in right now. So I have this time, type, content and UID. That's pretty much it, right? All that I have to do is to say Firebase Firestore dot instance dot collection. Our collection is going to be posts. Then I'm going to say add, and I'm going to simply add the data. Once done, I'm saying post text dot text is equal to empty, and let's call set state. So we have set state. Come on. All right, let's save it. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to simply say I am feeling happy. Let's click on post. It's going to, you know, it's going to erase itself, and this is posted, but you can't see it, right? So we have to go and see if this is present in our Firestore database. You can see now you have a posts collection, and this is a post. You see, this is the content, this is the time, this is the type, and this is the user ID. This is the user which has posted this, right? So now we have a post. Let's say something more, and simply let's go click on add, and now you have two posts, right? That's done. Now, so post is done. You can also, you can basically now change it. Like maybe if it was type of an image, I'm simply going to change it here. Okay. You have to build the UI on your own, where you give a camera icon here where people can actually click a picture, then upload it and get the image URL. What I'm going to do is that I'm simply going to change this type to image, right? Now as soon as I change this to image, you have to basically ensure that there is a content and there is also, let's say, URL. The URL will be our image URL. So I'm simply going to do a quick Google search, and let me just simply copy image link. I just need the link. And now my content will be, now this will be the caption, right? The content. So let's say check out this new video. Let's click on update. Now see, you have two posts here, both are different type. So we have one which is text, another which is image. You can just keep expanding this to URL, videos and whatnot. Once this is done, the next point is rendering timeline. You know, how do you render timeline? And this is where again people ask how to do that. Like, should I kind of run a query every time someone opens a home page and then, you know, like get all the data? Kind of okay-ish, but what I prefer, or what I have seen many companies do, is that they have a timeline collection for every user. So let's say user 1 has a timeline, user 2 has a timeline, and just keep adding posts to that. Now there are two benefits of it, right? The first benefit is that it's very easy to add different type of content for every user, right? Like you add a post, you add ads or anything that you want, right? Second thing is that you can do this on your server. You can run all your entire recommendation engine and basically add everything. Like somebody posts and you don't do that immediately, otherwise you have to do a lot of calculations. So let's say there's one person who has 10,000 followers, right? Now let's say there are two scenarios right here. The first scenario is that this one person was 10,000 followers and they post something. So what you do is that now you are adding this to every user's timeline collection. So you do this for U1, U2, U3, like 10, you do this for 100,000 users. I basically think this is 100,000, or I hope so. But anyway, you do this 100,000 times, so you're going to do 100,000 data updates, right? Second scenario is that you are thinking, no, this is very costly. You know, what you said right now is okay, but this seems very costly. Like every time someone who has so many followers does something, I have to do so many updates. But in the second scenario, what I'm saying is that what you are basically trying to say is that every time user 1 comes and opens, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to run a query to see if anyone of his followers, or sorry, anyone of his followings or her followings have posted in a while or not. So let's say user 1 followed some 9,000 people. Now what happens is that you're going to query this 9,000 people and you're going to do that. But what's also interesting is that if they don't have as many followers, you're also going to run recommendation engine, you're going to suggest them and everything. And for all that, the first scenario is helpful. And talking about this, where you have 100,000 users or you have 100,000 followers and you post something, so what is also happens is that I have seen in Instagram stuff like that is that they first check how long is a user staying on their applications. For example, for someone like me who doesn't spend much time in a day, what happens is that I don't see my timeline refreshing very quickly. I don't follow many people, so I don't see my timeline refreshing very quickly. But at the same time, for the other people who do follow, you see that refreshing a lot. Also, if you talk about reels and whatnot, you see that's what happened there. They create timeline, they add reels for you. That's why when you refresh, it's not like it's not present. It's since it's a large company, all that they care about is you know, interaction and people staying there. They run all that queries. But you know what happens is that you have a collection of reels. Every time you open, data is fetched and you're playing. Once you have played a certain amount, you know, you can just go back and they can just keep adding as you keep playing. So anyway, I'm just going to follow this. What I'm going to do is that for every user there's going to be a timeline collection, right? You can have your own server with your entire recommendation engine and whatnot. You can run it, you know, for every time, or you know, maybe schedule it or run every time user clicks on refresh or something like that, and then you can basically create a timeline for that, right? So I'm going to do that manually because I don't have a server here, right? So let's say they're users. Now this is my user. Okay, so I'm going to say start a collection. The collection name will be timeline. Click on next. All right, now here you need some documents. I'm saying auto document. Now there are only two things that I need to show here. Okay, not even two things. I mean, basically you can show an order or whatnot, but I'm going to say show me a date, which is going to be timestamp. So let's just take out current date or current timestamp. That's it. Just take any random timestamp. Yes. Next thing that I want is post ID, right? Like what is the post ID that I'm interested in? I'm just going to add random values here. But what happens is that I'm going to go back to post, and this is the post ID that I want. This is the post ID which I want to fetch. So now I'm going to go to users, go to timeline, and this is the post ID that I want to fetch the data from. Sorry, I did not think that I copied it correctly. Yep. Okay, there is an error. Let's go back. All right, so here you go. This is the post ID. I do this same again. So auto ID, there's going to be a date, which is, you know, when this was added or created. Basically you can use this to order. That's what I'm adding that. So timestamp, let's say today's date and 010012, whatever it is, random. Then I need post ID. So post, not ID. I will just add random values here. I have to go and fetch the next post too, right? So let's go to users, post, and then there is this, which where we have the second post here, and I'm just going to simply say copy this, users, timeline. And now what is that? You can actually listen for stream changes in this collection and render content accordingly. Now let's do that. So this is done. Next part is that I have to actually render the content here based on the changes. So after this container, what I have to do is that I have to actually render the content here. So I have an expanded here because it's a column and I want to, you know, like this can actually be of any height and width. Sorry, this can be of any height. It should be scrollable. There will be multiple posts, obviously. So there's child, and what we have here is a stream builder. Thing about stream builder is that if you keep adding post, it will be automatically added. If you don't want to use a stream builder, you can simply use a future builder too. So basically only when you refresh it. Actually, let's go with future builder. So future builder. All right, this is what we have. Now here there is something called as builder. Obviously we have talked about. This is what we need. I'm going to simply return some text here. Data, done. What we have here is something called as future, another interesting thing. So what I need is that, again, some kind of little complicated query, and since we are not using some kind of, you know, like a central state and whatnot, you have to see this many times, although it's recommended that you do use a central state to just provide the data. So here you have Firebase the instance.collection. The collection is going to be users, and there you need a particular document. The document is going to come from user ID. Remember, this is why I modeled it in this way. If you want to fetch a particular document, you can simply do that using the user's UID. Here's the UID. I copy it, I'll paste it here, and now we need another collection within this document, which is going to be timeline, and then I'm going to say get. So this is what I need. It's going to be a query snapshot. So here you see it's a query snapshot. So this is a future builder of type query snapshot. So this is the data that I'm going to get here. Okay, it simply says data. So what I'll say is that is snapshot.has data. Okay, else if there is no data, I'm going to simply return a linear progress indicator, and if there is data, just return this text. Okay, so that's done. I'll save it, and that is what we have. So what happens with snapshot has data? Now the data can be empty, right? So we are going to do a quick check here. We are saying that if snapshot.data.docs.is empty, okay, we'll take this here, and this will give an error saying this can be null. I'm saying if this is null in any way, this is true, because if this is null, there's no point in moving forward. And I'm going to simply say a text which says no posts for you. Okay, else if it is not empty, then I'm going to say that there are posts. So posts for you available. Let me save this, and now it says posts for you available. Makes sense, because you know post is available. Now what I do is that I'll go to home, and I will say that I need some utilities, so utils, and there I'm going to have something which is going to be a text post. Remember, this is going to be a text underscore post dot dart. So we have text. Let's create a stateless visit. This is going to be a text post, right? What is going to happen here is that we're going to grab the text, so final string text, and we're going to simply show this. So required this dot text, and in the container child is going to be a text, and come on, what's the error here? Okay, we need material to be imported. Let's remove it. So yeah, child is going to be text, which is going to show this text, and we are basically done. Let's go back to home. Now we have posts are available. So we're going to have a return list view dot builder. All right, item builder will have our context and index, and in the item count, come on, item count is going to be again snapshot dot data dot docs dot not changes docs dot length, and if there is an error, let's let it be 0. Okay, and here I'm going to say I'm going to return. Now each of them is going to be a document snapshot, right? Sorry, it's going to be a document snapshot. Yep. So doc, which is going to come from this value, so snapshot dot data dot docs of index, and it is going to say some, I have to basically say that this is not null, only then it's going to work. Makes sense. Anyway, now I have to actually check the data. So I'm simply going to say I'm simply returning text. I want to see you what's present here. So we say doc dot toString. All right, now save this, and you will see this is the content present here. All right, so doc dot toString. Okay, doc dot data dot toString. Save it, and this is the data present here, right? In the data, what I want is that doc dot data. This is this, and what I want is actually I want the post here, right? That's interesting. Or for all of these, we're actually going to get a post. So I don't even need this right now. I have to actually first loop over all the posts that we get. So okay, let's save it, and I'm going to do again another future builder. So that's why this is why when your project grows, you will obviously start worrying about having a central or kind of a better state management, because you see you are going to run this queries multiple times. Not an issue right now, but obviously in an actual production application that could be an issue. So we have a future builder again. Why? Because right now we only grabbed all the post, but we don't actually have the content of the post. You can see we have the date and we have the post ID. As you can see here, we have the date and the post ID, but I still need to grab the post data, right? So another future builder, which is going to be a document snapshot, because now we can actually grab the document directly. How we do that? So we're going to have a builder again with the same data, but just change this. This is a snapshot. We are going to say this is post snapshot, and then you have a future. Now future is interesting. It's going to come from this, right? How it's going to come from this? Paste it. Let me show you. We are going to say go to posts, and the document is going to be, interestingly, we'll actually write the long form here. You can actually short it down, but let's go with this. So I'm going to copy this. A very bad coding style, obviously, but here for the docs I'm going to go to the particular index. There, take all the data that you get, and in the data there will be something called as post. So grab that. Now there's going to be a lot of error here. Let's see what is it. So first I need to do a get here. I save it. This is done. This says that, hey, what you're doing, I'm saying that, yeah, this can be okay. This is saying that they can't do that. This is saying that this is an object, so I have to basically say that yes, as map, that yeah, you are not an object, you actually have a map, you have key values. And then here I'm going to simply say that if post snapshot has data, else if there is no data in post snapshot, simply return a circular progress indicator. Save it. If this has data, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to simply return a text, which is going to be post snapshot dot data dot to string. We save it. Let's see what we get right now. Refresh again and let's see what we get. So now we have a document snapshot. Okay, actually let me refresh again. Let's see what we get. So we rebuild the application, and we have to first you run this query, then for each the document that you get, we run this query again, and we get this post snapshot data here, which is an instance of JSON document snapshot. Now you can actually grab the actual content. I'm saying that this is not null, and we have a key called content. Remember, it says, hey, I'm feeling happy, or check out this new video. It also has a key called as type, right? This is type and image. Now we can actually we loop over, we can actually render according to the type. So what I'm going to say is something like, there is a switch. So switch is going to be our snapshot, post snapshot dot data and then type. Okay, so this can be basically text. In that case I'm going to simply say return text post. Do we have text post? Text post, and the text is going to be post snapshot dot data, and then I'm going to say that this is the content that we get from there. So this is the first one that we get, and then in the default I'm going to do the same, right? You can actually show error. So this is the first one there where we are sending the data, right? So let's go back to our text, because I want to give some styling there. Text post here, very basic styling decoration, which is going to be box decoration. You're going to have a border radius, which is going to be border radius dot circular 12.0 whatnot. Next thing that we're going to get is some padding. So we have as insects dot all 12.0, why not? And then finally we have a little, let's say, color, background color. So I'm going to say color, which is going to be colors dot indigo. Come on, colors dot indigo dot shade 100. Let's save it, and this is how it looks. Okay, not the best, but again not the worst too. So const, and for this I'm going to simply give it a margin, which is going to be as insects dot only bottom 8.0. So just little margin in the bottom. So we have this, but interestingly the first one is a text, but the second one is not a text, it's actually an image. So we have to run the case again, and if this is an image, now instead of returning a text post, what we actually have to return is an image post. So let's do that too in the utils. Now I have an image underscore post dot. Okay, so stf stateful visit, stl stateless visit image post, and this will take two things now, right? So let's do that. Container is okay, but what we are going to grab here is that we are going to grab our caption, which is going to be text, and we're also going to grab our URL. Okay, finally we have to say required this dot text and required this dot URL. So let's save this, and this is done. But in the container, actually, let me just pass it so we can build it, right? So instead of text post, I'm saying go to image post, and you have text, but what you also need is an URL. So text, there's this URL, which is going to come from URL, right? Let's save it. Let's go back to image post. Okay, this is what we get right now. Okay, so head over to text post again. Let's grab some of these things from here, and we're going to simply paste it, right? The next thing, so this is what happens. Next thing is that here in the child, what we actually need is a column. Why a column? Because we are going to first have an image dot network, which is going to be, you know, this URL. So we have the URL, which is going to come from network image. Save it, and now we have the image. And then we're going to have the caption. Now I don't want this padding here, doesn't look good at all. We are going to do something like fit, which is going to be box fit dot cover. Save it. And also don't want the image, the color here doesn't look very good, right? This, go to column, let's do a cross axis alignment. It will be cross axis alignment dot start to that. Let's wrap this with an aspect box, aspect ratio, I think so. Aspect ratio, this is where the ratio is going to be 1 by 1, so kind of like Instagram here. Okay, and then finally we are going to have what we call our caption. So text, which is going to be text. That's pretty much it. So here you go. All right, check out this new video. You can style it if you want, right? You can give some kind of size box, so const sized box with a height of, let's say, 2.0. all right, let's save it. Now it looks pretty good right now, but obviously you can't differentiate between the two posts, right? And that's what I want. I want to be able to differentiate between them. So we have a border, which is going to be border dot all. Color is going to be colors dot, let's say, gray, and then we are going to have width of 1.0. You can add divider, border, background color, whatever you want. That's completely up to you. Okay, so this is what we get. And this is why if you are like building something like Instagram, you don't want this kind of, you know, this kind of a spacing here. So you can do that. You can actually completely design it as much as you want, but that's pretty much what you have. We have a simple post system where you can actually post different type of content, whether that's text or that's some kind of image, and then you can render accordingly. You can also, you know, move it forward to actually render very different type of content, such as you can add a video player, YouTube player and whatnot, and then you can render the content here. We also add some sized box with a height of 10, and there you go. Now this is what I have. So if you have a server where when somebody posts something, you run that query on your server, that query checks all the users who are active or who are actively present there. You can add all this to their timeline, and then when they open their application, they can actually see this on their timeline. So that's it. You can also add your own machine learning model too and make your entire timeline very well based on a very good recommendation system from your users. So that's what we have here, a very simple yet kind of working post system and timeline.